Hello again from my front porch. It is a nice day in Iowa today. I'm going to start with the nice stuff because my actual topic is not so nice. So the nice stuff is that it's a nice day in Iowa. And that's a big deal because a few days ago it was in the 80s. I mean, we were all walking around shirt sleeves and sweating because like, whoa, man, summer got here early this year. And it was very nice. Even woke up all the bugs too, the wasps and everything. That's not the good part. But anyway, then over this past weekend here, the temperatures just took a nosedive, down into 30 degrees. We had rain, snow mix, freezing rain, a little bit of hail. It was not pleasant. It was a very chilling experience. And the wind kicked up yesterday too. I mean, really kicked up. And so if it had been just a little bit colder in general, no doubt, not only would we have had snow, but we would have likely had whiteout blizzard conditions if we had not had that temperature bump earlier on. And so anyway, Today, the temperature is climbing back up. It's not back up to 80, but it is climbing back up. The sun is out. It's cloudless sky. Very beautiful day. The wind is still here, not as fierce as it was yesterday, but still, I mean, overnight last night, whew, wow, it was, I could hear it. I try to lay down and go to sleep, and man, was that wind screaming out there. It was rattling the windows for sure. But today it's calmed down just a bit. And I joked over the weekend with Lisa, I joked that we needed to ensure that Mother Nature gets her prescription renewed for her Xanax, because clearly it's run out. She's having these mood swings and just going bananas with some of this stuff. But anyway, also on the nice front, on the happy stuff, I got new pillows because I'm now into pillows for the front porch, and so I found these. The porch is my happy place. I thought that was really nice, and then they got this flowerish pattern on them. I thought that's kind of very spring. It's and so they fit. So I got a set of those here. You see, I thought that was nice too. I did when I was ripping the tags off of them, which you're not supposed to under federal law. But once you own the pillow, I think it's okay. But when I was ripping the tags off it, the stitching was rather thin, and I ripped the tags off and wound up ripping open the stitching. So thank you, Lisa, for stepping in and repairing the pillows so that all the stuffing wasn't falling out. In the course of doing that, she also discovered that one of the pillows was a little thin, didn't have a lot to it, whereas the other one was overstuffed. It was like bulgy, and so she, as long as there was a hole in both of them, she grabbed stuffing out of one and restuffed the other one and balanced them out. So see, she's just a pillow wizard. So thanks, Lisa. Thanks for helping with the porch pillows. All right, I've stalled enough with the nice stuff. Now the not so nice stuff. Taxes. See, you can't even say it with a smile. Taxes. Now, here's the deal. The way I do my taxes every year, I don't claim any exemptions. So like head of household, whatever, nothing. It's a big zero there. And so that means that automatically I have the highest level of deductions or exemptions, or I should say lowest level of exemptions. So I have the highest amount deducted, get those terms correct. So that I try not to get hit with a tax bill. But just to ensure that, I also have an additional actual dollar amount that I enter to be taken out every paycheck as well. The result of that is when it comes time for me to file my taxes, I generally get back a fairly significant tax refund. Now, right now, time out. I know there's already people watching this whose heads are exploding. They're going ballistic. They're saying, Paul, what are you doing? You're just giving the government a free loan of your money. Yes, I'm very well aware of what I'm doing. My reason for doing that is because I would rather get a check back than to have to send a check in. Because the laws keep changing. And what's interesting is government is able to make up whatever laws they want for the taxes. All it takes is a majority of them to vote and say, yes, this is the way it's going to be, and to get the president sign, and boom, that's it now. And sometimes it doesn't even require a vote. Sometimes it's just a IRS policy. That IRS has a tremendous amount of clout and leverage. I mean, they even have their own court system. If you go to tax court, it's not regular court that you go to, it's the IRS court. And the rules are apparently different there. I've not been in it, thankfully. I don't ever want to be in it, but from what I've heard, it's not a pleasant experience in the slightest little bit. But you know, the whole thing about government, you know, you're giving them a free loan. Trust me, if government wants my money, they will just take my money. They have proven that time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. Because you know, if you get your paycheck, you go into someplace, cash your paycheck, and you walk out with a bunch of cash, and I walk up to you and I just grab a chunk of that and run away with it. Well, you could have me arrested for robbery. Because see, that's called stealing. That's theft. I can't do that to you. But if I were a member of Congress, then I could get together with my other members of Congress and we could vote to increase the amount of money that comes out of that paycheck, and you wouldn't have any say. I don't have any say. I have a say in who I elect, yeah, but when they do that vote, none of us are there. It's all up to them. They'll do that, and all they have to do is say, yep, we believe that you should have to pay more in taxes, and suddenly the money I have worked to earn, they can just come along and take. And there's nothing I can do about it, because if I don't let them take it, then I wind up in that IRS tax court, because it's not just expected that I pay that. It is the law. It's required that I pay that I allow that to be taken from me. You can maybe tell I'm not a big fan of that. But still, again, this is why I like paying extra in, so that when it comes time to do your taxes, I don't have to hassle with, oh, how much am I going to own? And so I fill stuff out that way. Well, this year worked out a little bit different. You see, little background here. At my company, we have an umbrella corporation called Baker Construction Enterprises, and underneath that are several other companies. Well, when I was hired, and my team, when we hired them, we all worked for that umbrella entity, BCE. Well, last year, it was determined that that was not the proper place for our payroll structure to be under, because that BCE company is really supposed to be just a holding company. And I'm not going to get into the complexities of that, but suffice to say, it's not supposed to have a whole lot of overhead. It's not supposed to have a whole lot of employees working underneath it and all that kind of stuff. So I and my team, our payroll structure got shifted into one of the companies underneath that umbrella, where it made more sense for us to be. So that's fine. No problem with that. But when that shift happened, all of our tax paperwork had to be redone, because it was all set up for the other company, and now we're technically employed by a different company, though the same overall entity. So we had to fill out all that tax work again. Sorry to bore you with the detail of that, but here it's significant, because what I'm about to tell you was not a problem until last year, and I didn't even suspect it was going to be a problem. And that's why it was a problem. I went in to get my taxes done this year for the year of 2022. And I go to the same tax preparer, Leanne Carlson, based at the H&R Block office in Boone, Iowa. And I'll tell you what, it is a bit of a drive now. It was a drive when originally she was based in the one in Ames, and I was living in Ames. And she was amazing. The advice that she gave, the things that she would point out that we should be taking advantage of. When we had to sell our house on a short sale, and the IRS wanted to hit us for the difference, because short sale means you sell your house for less than what it's supposedly valued at, but it was overvalued. Again, not going to bore you with details of that. But the IRS came back and said there's, I think it's like $30,000 or $40,000 difference here, and you owe tax and blah blah blah. Leanne took care of it. Just took care of it. Got it resolved, taken care of. We didn't have to pay a dime. And so this lady, she has my loyalty. She has my respect. And she moved to their Boone office. And of course, I moved to Des Moines. And I still, every year, drive all the way up to Boone, Iowa to go have her do my taxes because my taxes aren't even all that complex. But I trust her. She has demonstrated her knowledge and skill, and I trust her exceptionally. If you need somebody that you can trust and you're willing to make the effort and make the drive to Boone, Iowa, I encourage you to use Leanne Carlson at the H&R Block office there in Boone, Iowa. But anyway, enough with that commercial. I get I get no royalties, by the way. Just I'm just giving a shout out because yeah, she's awesome. Anyway, I sit down with Leanne. We're going over stuff. We're having a great conversation. She's asking about my granddaughter, and singing national anthems because I've been going to her enough over the years that you get to know people, and we're having these conversations. And she says, "Well, here's what you're going to be getting back from the state of Iowa," and so that was actually larger than what I normally get back from the state, and I was really pleasantly surprised by that. Then as it turned out, it was a really good thing that I was getting that back because then she went to the federal one and she went, and from the federal, oh, what happened here? Now that's not something you want to hear your tax preparer say. I was like, what? What's going on? Apparently, through some snafu, when my new paperwork was being processed, the state paperwork for tax exemptions and deductions processed just fine. I had the 0 exemptions and the extra dollar amount taken out. Somehow, when the federal tax form was being processed, that dollar amount that I put down that I wanted taken out got put into or went, I don't know, I'm not pointing finger of blame, but somehow that dollar amount that I put down to take out every paycheck was moved into the exemptions that I was claiming. There's a lot of exemptions. Excuse me. And so the result of that was I did not have the extra amount taken out. I did not even have enough taken out, to the point that for the first time in a couple of decades, I actually owed a tax bill, $1,700. Now, fortunately, as I said, my state tax refund from Iowa was larger than what I'm normally used to getting. Usually, it's just a few $100s. Honestly, it's now maybe $1,000, but normally it's under $1,000, just in the hundreds of dollars. This time it was I don't remember it'd be like $2,100 because it was going to be enough to be able to cover the federal tax bill and leave me about $400, I think. Come out ahead. And the reaction that I get when I tell people this story is, yeah, but you still came out $400 ahead. True, but imagine if I had that $2,000 from the state plus the several $1,000s that I would normally expect to get from the federal, what I could have done with that. But instead, that is not what I had. And so I had to pay the tax bill. I waited until I got my state return, which came in a couple of weeks ago. And then I went and got a cashier's check for the federal one because I didn't want to just write a check, have it hanging out there for however long. So I did the cashier's check because once you get over $1,000, they don't do a money order; they do a cashier's check. But again, details that don't really matter, I guess, unless you're doing trivia night. But so I sent that off, and the nice gentleman at my bank when I was processing this and saying what I because you have to tell them who it's for too, because they type it on to the cashier's check. And he goes, so as he's putting this all together, he goes, "So how's your day going?" I said, "Oh, it's going great. It's going great. Well, except for this part." And he laughed and said, "Yeah, actually, we hear that a lot, especially this time of year." So I got it sent in on Friday before the 15th. So it's dated before that, postmarked before that. So hopefully that's you have to pay him by the 18th, and so that's the goal to have that done. Anyway. So I got it sent in. But the lesson to be learned here is don't just assume that all your paperwork is correct. Don't just assume that because you filled out a form that it's processed in the way you want it processed. People say, "Well, weren't you looking at your pay stub? Weren't you able to check and see?" Sadly, no. I get my pay direct deposited to my account. I don't get a physical pay stub. I have to log into a system to go see the pay stub, and I just wasn't worried about it. I was getting my paycheck every week. Who cares? Turns out I should have been looking. I am now. So let that be a lesson to you as well. And for the record, I also am not bashing taxes in general. I believe that there are some taxes that make a lot of sense. I mean, infrastructure needs, security needs, general welfare support needs. There are a lot of things that it just makes sense that we would pool our resources together as individuals in the form of government, and then have that central entity take care of the payment and management of those services, of those projects and things. Now, having said that, I do think that government is a bit out of control and is way too big and intrusive, and we now are funding a whole lot of stuff that we really shouldn't be funding, and certainly not at the levels that we are funding them. Different people have different opinions of what is and is not the government's role to be doing. I am not someone who believes in the mommy state, who believes that government should be taking care of us. I don't subscribe to that viewpoint. And so because of that, I don't agree with some programs that I believe take things too far. I also believe there's incredible amounts of waste and fraud that takes place in a lot of government programs, and that while the government spends a lot of time coming after us to get our money to put into those coffers, I don't believe the government spends near enough time and has enough focus on preventing fraud within those programs. People abusing the money and abusing the services, which then in turn denies people who really need those things access to the money because it's been taken by people who should not have gotten it. So, whole different topic we could go into there. It's just, taxes are just not a fun topic no matter how you slice it. For me this year, it was a painful, not fun topic. I am very thankful though that the state did come through and give me a larger than expected return, so that I was able to buffer that, and I didn't have to dig deeply into my own pocket to pay that bill. Others have had to do that, people I've talked to. So just be mindful of that. Don't just leave it up to chance. Don't just leave things to random hope that it works out, because you're dealing with the IRS. Odds are it's not going to. All right, well, I got to get back to doing work stuff, the thing I'm getting paid for that I have the deduction taken out from. And so with that, I will let y'all go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.